I think the fertility journey is a spiritual journey, especially for the modern woman. I'm Heather Grzych, and this is the Wisdom of the Body podcast. This podcast explores the idea of body intelligence as the real key to learning the knowledge of life, or what we call Ayurveda in the ancient language of Sanskrit. We do that by connecting with today's creative leaders and experts who will help you listen to your body, trust your gut, and live in deeper harmony with nature. Come join me as we unlock the golden door to clear, direct perception and become very deep listeners. You can find the Wisdom of the Body podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can also follow us by joining my email at heathergrzych.com or on Instagram at heathergrzych. I know you're going to love this podcast, so take a second right now to subscribe. Hey, the topics in this podcast episode are in no way intended to be medical advice. Should you have any questions about anything discussed in this podcast episode, please reach out to your medical doctor or other healthcare professional. Welcome to the Wisdom of the Body podcast, where we explore holistic approaches to health and wellness. In today's episode, we're going to dive into the fascinating realm of Ayurveda and its role in fertility treatments, specifically when someone's trying to prepare for IVF procedures and even enhancing their natural conception. So whether you're exploring natural methods for conception or seeking to complement your fertility treatments that you're going through for IVF, Ayurveda offers a rich tapestry of wisdom that can support you on your journey towards parenthood. But what is Ayurveda? It's often referred to as a science of life. It's a 5,000-year-old holistic healing system originating from India. I never heard about it until I was about 32. I was a yoga teacher. And the moment I learned about it, I said, oh my God, this makes so much sense. Why doesn't anybody know about it? And I've been really, heavily involved with it since then. I quit my old career. I went back to get a master's degree in this form of medicine, which at the time was like the highest level that you could study at in the United States. Because again, it hails from India, and I think there's about 400,000 or more Ayurvedic doctors who practice this in India. Whereas where I live in the United States, it's relatively unknown still. So Ayurveda views health as a balance between mind, body, and spirit. And it emphasizes individualized treatments tailored to your unique constitution and any imbalance of what we call the three doshas. And the three doshas are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, which represent sort of different energies. Vata is more of a sort of light and depleted energy. Pitta is more of a hot, inflamed energy. And Kapha is an energy of heaviness, growth, earthiness. In my practice, I focus a lot on digestion and a lot of metabolism and anti-aging, and use a lot of herbs and teach people which foods are going to do things like reduce inflammation for them, or improve their digestion, or their sleep, or their metabolism, or get rid of period cramps, or thicken their uterine lining, or make their periods less heavy, or improve their sperm and egg quality. And it may be hard to believe that something that you can eat can actually impact the way the blood flows to your reproductive organs, but it absolutely does. People use acupuncture all the time for fertility because of the way it moves energy, and Ayurveda also moves energy. And it can be extremely stress relieving and help remove obstructions to flow and fertility. I think a lot of yoga people really understand Ayurveda, because I think in order to understand Ayurveda, you have to have a fair amount of body awareness. You have to have a sense that you know that the things you do affect how your body feels. So the way you move affects the way your body feels. What you eat affects the way your body feels. How much sleep you got the night before affects the way your body heals. And so with that kind of body awareness, it opens you up to higher levels of experimentation with your body and kind of hacking these regeneration systems of your body to affect changes. Speaking of acupuncture, it's believed that acupuncture stemmed from Ayurveda, from Ayurvedic marma therapy, which we work with simple energy points on the body, just like in acupuncture. We don't necessarily stick needles in, but we may be putting pressure or oils or things like that in certain parts of the body. But the part of Ayurveda that excites me so much is that simple things in your kitchen can have a cleansing or rejuvenating effect on your body. It's pretty amazing. And frankly, I've experienced the benefits myself. I couldn't get pregnant when I tried in my early 30s. But later, after finding Ayurveda, I was able to have a baby the year I turned 40. I wrote about what I learned in my book, The Ayurvedic Guide to Fertility. So if this is a topic that interests you, go ahead and check out the book wherever you buy books. I think it's sold on Amazon and Walmart and Barnes & Noble and indie booksellers like bookshop.org. When it comes to fertility, Ayurveda recognizes that optimal reproductive health is influenced by diet, by lifestyle, by emotional well-being, and also environmental factors. According to the Ayurvedic principles, conception is supported when there's a balance of the doshas, when there's healthy digestive fire, or what we call Agni, and when there's also proper elimination of toxins from the body. We call toxins ama. So ama is something like if you look at your tongue when you wake up in the morning and you see a white coating on it, well, that's an example of when you have ama in your body. We don't want that. We want your body clearing out things it doesn't need and having nice, juicy tissues with optimal blood flow and not having a bunch of weird coatings on them. Something needs to be done. And we keep hearing about the levels of toxins in our environment. One could argue that it's beneficial for most people to do some sort of detoxification before trying to conceive, whether they're doing it naturally or using fertility treatments and assisted reproductive technology. For those preparing for IVF, which is also called in vitro fertilization, Ayurveda can play a complementary role in focusing on preparing the body to be in its healthiest state possible. There are 3 areas where I think Ayurveda can help during this process. The first is before even trying IVF. Many people can get pregnant naturally without IVF, even if you're old. But if there's inflammation or other imbalances or obstructive conditions going on in the reproductive channel, then it can be an obstacle to conception. If we rebalance the channels and clear them, reduce inflammation, get rid of any extra material or growths that may be blocking them, then this can open up a pathway to conception. Our bodies are always regenerating, and it's even possible to shrink or eliminate completely something like a fibroid. But it needs a lot of diligence and commitment, and you need to work with a practitioner, right? It's not like going to get surgery and someone cuts it out of you. It's like you have to wait for your tissues to regenerate. It takes a little bit more time, and you have to really modulate your behavior in the process. Not everybody needs surgery. I've worked with people to shrink fibroids and even have them disappear completely. An Ayurvedic preparation for conception is mind, body, and spirit. It helps those preparing to conceive bring their whole selves into the process so that little spirit baby or baby is waiting for them to have a healthy channel to enter, and they can be well taken care of emotionally and physically, etc. And they can come down here through the channel and become a person on earth. Okay. So the second place where Ayurveda helps people in the fertility process is after having eggs retrieved. Many people's bodies do not handle all the hormones of IVF treatment very well, and they feel awful and swollen and inflamed after the procedure is done. I've seen this a million times. And a cleanse can help people eliminate anything excess that has accumulated and get back to feeling normal again. So the third way that Ayurveda is helpful when you're trying to conceive and go through a fertility process is when you want to take a break from conceiving. I think taking that pause to really center yourself and try to bring balance back into your mind, your body, and your spirit is really beneficial. So whether you've had 1 or 10 failed attempts to conceive, and whether you've done it naturally or you've done it through IVF, because it all takes a toll on you. IVF especially takes a toll on you. So sometimes a break is really, really helpful. And also some people experience pregnancy loss in the process, and that's no fun because our society isn't really set up to support people for pregnancy loss. We don't get pregnancy loss vacation days at work. Everybody's just expected to carry on. And sometimes these things are happening to us and we can't even tell anybody about it, but it's still affecting us and we're still having to wait for our body to come back into a state of balance after an event like that. So sometimes we just need to take a break from things to let our bodies heal and come back to homeostasis. And the processes that we use in Ayurveda help the body come back into homeostasis more easily. Some of the treatments that we use are detoxification procedures like panchakarma, which is a kind of detox therapy in where we cleanse the body of toxins, we improve circulation, and it can enhance your reproductive tissue's health. And it could just make you feel real good. I do a lot of fasting with people in my practice because I wrote my master's thesis on it. And I was surprised personally by how much it transformed my own reproductive health. It's not the way to go for everybody, but for certain types of conditions, it's really helpful. But fasting has to be done intelligently for women, especially for those trying to conceive, and also especially for those who are older. The other thing that we do in Ayurveda is we balance the doshas. So we look for these types of imbalances that are there, inflammation or depletion or excess growth of some sort. And we aim to create an optimal environment for conception and pregnancy. We're not just trying to get pregnant with Ayurveda. We're trying to create the highest quality tissues for a new life. It's a different kind of aspiration. It's not like, yes or no, I got pregnant. It's like, oh, everything was functioning well and it happened and the quality of everything is good. Now, I know that's hard to think about when we're on a journey and we just want to just get the damn pregnancy to happen. And it's like really frustrating sometimes, but we don't want to forget the quality aspect to this. It's not just like a yes or no thing. So I think that's where Ayurveda is also really helpful, enhancing the quality of everything for not just the tissues of the baby, but also the tissues of the mother, and making sure that the pregnant person's body is really able to carry a child well and deal with it physically, emotionally, and mentally. So, all right, another way I think Ayurvedic treatment helps, one thing that we do is stress management. So we use techniques, perhaps meditation, yoga, and definitely a lot of herbal formulations and dietary recommendations can all reduce certain types of stress, which is crucial to fertility treatments and trying to conceive. I think the fertility journey is a spiritual journey, especially for the modern woman, So it can be quite challenging and we need support on that journey. We place significant emphasis on diet and lifestyle to enhance fertility. There's fertility boosting foods. There are mindful eating practices and setting up daily routines that align with natural rhythms can stabilize the body's internal clock. And that can promote hormonal balance because how we wake, eat, move, sleep, and live all matter. Here's a personal anecdote. The first time I ever had a regular 28-day cycle was when I took a month off of work and went and lived in the jungle. And I think we don't realize just how out of balance we are, how out of balance our culture is, how out of balance our society is. And we have to work really hard to implement daily routines that allow us to align more with the natural rhythms. It's not really how our society is set up. If we were really living in line, we'd be going to bed when the sun goes down or not long after the sun goes down instead of watching Netflix till 11 p.m. So this process of utilizing Ayurveda to come back to a state of balance and assist in the development of the tissues to support a new life is really, really, really important. Yes, there's a lot of cool stuff with specific foods that can help improve fertility, specific herbs that can help improve fertility. And we need to tailor these to the individual to create the effects to improve the quality of the tissues in the body. And we use these herbs all the time to support health and hormonal balance. We sometimes use these complicated formulations tailored to individual needs, but sometimes also, a simple herb in your kitchen will do. I do recommend that you work with a qualified Ayurvedic practitioner There are a lot of herbs that are available to people, and I see people wasting their time with a lot of herbs and just taking tons of stuff because they don't really know what they do. I get upset personally when I see things like women's formula from some herbal products company, because a woman's body is really different during ovulation, during menstruation, and each trimester of the pregnancy is different. The postpartum period is different. And also, each woman's body is different than the next woman's body. So I think something like woman's formula is very misleading. Even like pregnancy formula is misleading because there's different phases of different trimesters of the pregnancy, and people have different things going on in their pregnancy. So I think it's more effective if you work with somebody who can actually figure out what's going on with your body and give you the specific herbs that your body needs in that moment. Obviously, it takes a little bit more contact with someone to support you, but it saves you a lot of time and a lot of guesswork with not really, most people haven't studied herbal medicine, but Ayurvedic practitioners study herbal medicine for multiple years. I studied herbal medicine in school for 3.5 years. Anyway, I think you get it. Just talk with someone who can help you is the bottom line. I love helping people with herbal supplements, so reach out to me for advice. While Ayurveda offers valuable tools to support fertility and IVF preparation, it's essential to integrate these practices under the guidance of experienced practitioners. And also, if you're getting IVF, you want to do this alongside your conventional medical care. So you want to keep your Ayurvedic practitioner or any other complementary practitioner that you're working with aware of your process that you're going through, your timing, all your dates for different procedures with your doctor, so that your complementary provider can begin to synergize the recommendations and work with you for the specific phase that you're in. And by embracing holistic principles in this process, you can nurture your emotional well-being and then optimize your physical health through Ayurveda. And you can empower yourself on your path toward parenthood. Well, thanks for joining me on this exploration of Ayurveda's role in fertility and IVF preparation. There's a lot more to it, but I hope this helps. You have to remember, every journey to parenthood is unique, and finding the right balance of approaches that resonate with you is key, because you deserve to feel like a whole person when you're on a fertility journey. It's one of the most mind, body, spirit journeys you can go on. And I personally think it needs to feel a little weird to work. So definitely check out the complementary routes like Ayurveda. Stay tuned for more episodes on holistic health and wellness. Until next time, be well. If you are embarking on a fertility journey and are ready to have your mind blown about what your body is really capable of and how it's impacted by the environment, then check out my book, The Ayurvedic Guide to Fertility. You can actually download the introduction to the book for free on my website at heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. Read the intro for free and then buy the rest of this fertility enlightening book pretty much anywhere books are sold. You want a full human experience when you seek a healthcare provider, and you don't want 15 minutes with someone who can't even try to find out the root cause of things because they're so overwhelmed themselves. You have a body, a mind, a heart, and dare I say it, even emotions. You're not crazy. Everything does affect you, and it's possible to feel better if you have the support you need. Set up an appointment with me to heal naturally. Go to heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. Thank you for tuning in and dropping in with us today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I really want to hear your feedback. To learn more about my work, visit heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, Grzych.com. And meet me here next time on the Wisdom of the Body.